8% win rate all time.
48?
Lower than I would have expected. You know, this is a team known for being so clutch.
I think 48 is personally something damn impressive, personally.
But you're already down. All right, are we going to see...
Doing everything, Vedius.
Are we going to see the Talia Azir double ban again? I assume so. And then we start to get pretty far down.
Well, I think with Rumble gone, T1 can actually afford to leave Talia open, force AL into banning it, and then potentially go for a different power pick.
It's also really interesting because Alistar, I think, you know, the lone really high prio engage support that is kind of left up and available. We have gotten through most. I guess Rakan as well would be there, so it'll be interesting to see if those rise in priority at all.
I'm thinking of junglers. Sejuani, Skarner are two that kind of stand out to me right now. Alternatively, like, because when I think about the playmakers, a lot of them have kind of fallen to the wayside. You could consider something like the Zed, the Nocturne as well, this deep into the draft. But there's that Talia that we were talking about, AL kind of being forced to ban both, and it's going to be the Corki first pick.
Yeah, you start to, the deeper you go into Fearless, looking at what champions they're going to get early for Guma, and they want to lock down that Corki very early on. The burst damage here, see what they can get done.
Question is, what supports are left that you can pair alongside it? The Ambessa insta-lock coming through from AL. The Corki, reminder, can be flexed into mid lane, always a possibility. Our expectation is that it's being played towards the bot side. And that is a blind Sylas. You haven't even seen many of the other champions that have come through, but putting a bit of pressure onto Faker to find a good response with his most common control mages gone, the Victor and the Orianna. Curious as to what direction he's going to go.
And it can sometimes be a bit of a denial pick. If you think that, hey, Alistar could be high prio, well, guess what? You don't really want to pick Alistar into the Sylas. So it does kind of limit some of the options, I think, for T1.
Yeah, definitely a good point there, as the support is the focus, and they opt for a very good champion for Keria here, the Rakan locked in.
Also quite good into the Alistar as well. So with the same logic in mind, if you expect AL to be leaning more towards that Alistar, they've already prepared for it. So while not the strongest 2v2 lane with Corki and Rakan, again, assuming that Corki is going down towards the bot lane, it does provide you with a lot of great teamfight, mobility, and engage later on into the game. And we're going to get a Maokai coming through for Tarzan.
Oh, we are really going to close down on the jungle champion pool then. I mean, technically you can flex Jax into jungle, but I definitely expect it to be into the top lane. So we can have two more bans here to really pinch down on Oner's champion.
Also, potentially, you know, if you're worried about some of these Sylas matchups, now you have the opportunity to go for protection bans here. Of course, there is still the thought that, hey, Faker could be the one playing Corki. We have mostly been seeing it in the bot lane, but occasionally in pro play this year, it still is being played mid.
AL clearly thinking about those jungle bans and the lack of really beefy front line on T1. And so the Skarner and Sejuani that you mentioned.
Would it be Zed? Maybe into Maokai? We have seen Oner bring it out. And I'm just thinking about, I mean, like, I don't think it necessarily makes sense in the comp of T1. They could do with a little bit more engage or a little bit more crowd control. They're going to remove the Cassio, so instead they're going to mitigate some of the difficult matchups that could come through into that mid lane.
Makes a lot of sense.
I think right now T1 really needs something that is going to block the Maokai ult or some way to deal with it. So that's why I'm still thinking like tanky jungle front line for them, like the Sejuani. Meanwhile, for their ban, are you worried about the Maokai plus Blitzcrank combination? Because that has been used fairly effectively as far as picking people off, especially if there is no one who can soak a Maokai ultimate, then you're like relying on a rush of a Kael's for the Rakan to be able to have someone step in front and then get it off quickly.
Can I just talk? I love how animated Tabe gets with his players. When they're picking, he's right next to them, standing, really having that conversation about what do you think is the best pick right now, and it's going to be the scaling center. So AL leaning towards the style that they found success with in this series, team fighting, team fighting, team fighting.
And I really like it with what you have in the first three, right? It's all dives and it can really support what you are building for and scales incredibly well. Can definitely answer any sort of split push threat that could be there also. Nocturne, I do think, makes some sense if you wanted to play alongside that Jax towards side lanes.
I don't love the amount of dive, though. Instead, they're going to go for the Lillia. And we talked about the potential of the Corki in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Pairing the Xayah Rakan, always the possibility when it comes to Gumayusi and Keria, a bot lane that they absolutely adore. And will it be the full protection? for Kael on the bot side of the map. It will mean that Maokai will be your primary engage there. Contemplating between the two.
I still am so nervous because the earlier problem I was talking about for T1, it looks so dangerous for any of these members to be in front with a Maokai ultimate. It poses so many problems. So AL, they can go for the safety option here with the Tahm Kench.
Wow. So AL, I mean, they've got a pretty typical front-to-back composition. I will say that the ultimates that Shanks can steal probably aren't the strongest on the side of T1. T1 have a decent number of split push options, with Jax going to be a real threat in the side lane, but a little bit more on the front-to-back side, running double AD carry with an AP jungler for Oner.
A lot of power on the other side, though, as well for T1. These are two AD carries that are difficult to lock down. And you have to remember, this is a Lillia versus 4 melee champions. That is the ideal situation. If Lillia can get accelerated in a game like this, you can have a field day. And you're trying to then dive in on these AD carries through the Rakan CC, through the counter engage of that potential 4-man sleep on these melees. And I think things could get tricky. So I do feel that both comps, really have a shot in this one.
Both have some tools, both have a lot of threat. AL on the precipice of making their way to an international finals.
Match point for AL, but it is T1 who are going to be looking to force us to a game number 5.
T1 have shown magic at many world championships over the last few years, but it is crucial to remember the word world championships. MSI has not been their tournament over the last few years. Second place in 2022, third place in 2023, third place again in 2024. AL could keep that streak alive if they can knock T1 out here and make their way to the finals.
You can even see AL was looking for some early game shenanigans. They actually had Flandre run down towards that bot lane to try to show their support mid, see if someone would step forward for a deep ward. Did not find it, but I always like these level 1 pre-planned plays in a high-intensity game like this. It can make all the difference.
Yeah, looking at set point here, any sort of early extra advantage goes a very long way.
Oner does get the ward on the enemy Raptors. Of course, Raptors a big target for Lillia throughout the game, always wanting to be able to steal those away, get ahead of your opponent. But I want to talk about Shanks and his incredible journey here. So the average pro play career, only 167 games. Shanks has been around for a lot longer than this. And why, you ask, is this important? To me, I think it is important because his career was not an easy path. He started out here and has had so much struggle early on in his career. We talked about how you have to go through these struggles to be able to then find success. And early days in his career, he was on some really bad teams in the LPL. He was on a 4-12 team, a 0-16 team. So many players in those situations, I think, would have been replaced, would have been a footnote in the history of the LPL. But he was able to fight through those difficulties, prove himself even amongst all of these struggles, and now has risen to the point where he's an LPL champion, where he's on the precipice of taking down T1 and getting to his first international finals. And I just think that journey is so impressive.
He showed incredible determination to get to this point. And as he said at the end of the last game, that's why he flashed the WE emote there.
Such a core part of his history as a pro. And for him to have the honor to go up against one of his idols, I mean, so many, an idol to so many in the world of League of Legends. Faker has accomplished so much, the greatest of all time to ever play the esport. And facing across from him in lane is that man, pushing him underneath his tower. The Corki pressure already off to a strong start as Doran on the top side looking to do the same thing, looking to grab a plate already in the 1v1.
Yeah, both T1 solo lanes here pushing very heavily early on, keeping up that pressure. And Lillia finishing up on the full clear at the moment. Doran even proxying to gain the extra little bit of timing here.
Yeah, I love the aggression there. They know that the Maokai started on top side, so he's going to be clearing down towards bot. That's why he's going for this proxy angle. But the T1 bot lane will just back off, knowing, again, hey, they are the ones that would be targeted. You get that early demolish, you get that early plate proc, and he's even going to be able to kind of stack that next wave together because he did that semi-proxy, and we'll be able to TP back to a wave pushing towards him very likely. So Doran going to be in a great spot, but they're going for the lane swap.
Yeah, exactly. They make their recall on bottom side. All of this pushing for T1 results in the easy swap on over. So it is going to be Guma and Keria catching up on top side.
And Flandre has to push this top wave as quickly as he can, because if he doesn't, then he's in some serious threat given where the wave is. Guma going to catch this wave. Speaking of danger for Flandre.
Yeah, both top laners in awkward spots here. Doran, I think did spot the Maokai as he was walking over, but he was desperately trying to crash that wave. Wasn't quite able to do it. And T1 clearly have a freeze here against Flandre, trying to hold that as much as they can. Flandre is in experience range, but is not obviously able to walk up and CS some of these minions. And Doran just trying to stay around, see if he can actually find an angle to get a crash here. Flandre is going to get rooted up there by Guma. Not looking for the kill, but they are continuing to poke him down.
Yeah, Jax does have an easier time in the 2v1, but now he's under attack.
He's going to get hit by the root. He's going to be in trouble here. Oner is coming to try to bail him out, but is it too little? Is it too late? They see Oner arrive, and they do elect to back off, but Doran, no TP, and is quite low on health here. Oner's going to try to help him push this in, and they did get eyes on the Maokai on the top side, so I feel like they're feeling relatively confident that they're okay.
Yeah, it's not going to get frozen on them, so they're just going to let it push on towards them because they do want Oner to keep on farming, get back up to his other side of the map. As you saw pings down there from AL, Tarzan already going into that jungle as Doran under attack and teleported on in this bottom tower.
It's a double TP. They're actually, oh no, excuse me, one TP is going to go mid lane, one is going to go bot lane. And it is going to be a look at a dive here. Can Doran get the perfectly timed Counter-Strike to try to survive this? Leap Strike's back. There's the Counter-Strike coming in. They will reset the aggro there as Hope juggles it, and now Doran really has no way out of this. Flash is back, outplaying as much as he can, but first blood will go the way of AL.
Beautifully done by AL. They get Flandre to the bot lane as well. Looks like he's going to choose to reset as the Corki TPs towards the bottom lane. Shanks going to go and try and catch this top wave. T1 still hold on to the gold lead for now, but a lot of farm denied away from Doran.
Faker is able to answer a lot of that and is going to be able to push this in. As Guma trying to look for a recall here with Keria. Does elect to just stay around instead. As Oner is just trying to keep his farm up. Tarzan and him both farming very equally and are on the same buy for now. It is, of course, going to be an AP Maokai here from Tarzan.
Yeah, going to be able to get that extra bit of damage later on. And again, the Maokai ult will be such a big part of their team fight. For now, T1 hold on to their little bit of gold lead, but evened up so much as far as the two top
The ward
laners.
just expired there. I think Doran got eyes on Kael. He's trying to run for it, but the Abscond Duck is going to connect. Leap Strike back. Can he get out of range of the Abyssal Dive? Just barely. Doran, by the skin of his teeth, will avoid the knockup and survive.
Just barely does Doran escape. Shanks quick to push in this top wave. Junglers hovering around the bot side of the map as the TP will come through from Tahm Kench to help keep Flandre safe. Tarzan is in the area with level 6. They really want this wave to go into Flandre's pockets. And he is going to be able to get it. T1 with good pressure on the map, but they don't quite deny Flandre that gold.
Yeah, good defense here from AL to allow him to keep up his CS on this Ambessa. You need income on this champion. You need to have the threat for later on. Doing their best to get him there.
How about this early advantage, though, from Faker, quietly opening up nearly a 500 gold lead here, has non-stop been pushing, has a really nice CS advantage, and has been able to pressure the tower for plates here. And T1 going to be using those pushing waves to start up this dragon here. Again, getting a relatively early dragon to start off game 4.
Yeah, fighting a Lillia this early against that dragon as a Maokai is a risky thing to do. With Faker being as strong as he is, AL don't want to run the risk of going for that fight. Plates-wise, it has been Faker that's gotten a bunch. He got one in bot lane, gets one in mid. Guma also grabbing 2 plates topside, shared with Keria. They're keeping this push on the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Flandre still has not been able to get a single recall off for
That's
a purchase.
true.
He's all the way to level 6 with no buy, so it's just the Doran shield that he is holding on to.
Not
Biscuits.
even his own shield. Flandre in some trouble there. Will get knocked low, but will now likely base. Faker staying around, fishing with another rocket, does get some poke on him.
Yeah, the unrelenting pressure here, constantly whittling away. And AL are taking the grubs at the moment while Flandre is trying to survive with his biscuits under tower. Goes back in again.
Yeah, T1 being relentless here with their pressure. just non-stop poking and prodding. Guma and Oner, though, showing up. Don't want to give over the full 3 grubs. Tarzan has claimed 2, but Oner will be able to come in and grab one of his own. And I wanted to talk about Chovy, an interview that he did where he was talking about his expectations for who he would face in the finals. He was expecting that it would be anyone's Legends. He said they are the most likely to make it up into the finals, not his longtime regional rivals of T1, which I think did surprise some players, but AL has been playing at such an incredible level.
There was a lot of talk, too, between those 2 teams at the beginning of the tournament about how their scrims were going. They were both very complimentary of each other.
It was like, I love the social media comments about how they were trying to reverse curse each other. No, you're really good. No, I insist. You are really good. And,
you are the best.
Yeah, and clearly both have demonstrated an absolute excellence in the level of play. And right now, we find ourselves in a very slow-paced early game. No one quick to force anything, and that makes sense. When you've got a double AD carry comp on the side of T1, itemization is very important. Kobe, you were just talking about for Ambessa, you also want to get those cooldowns, you want the levels, you don't really want to try and force anything too early. And Shanks early on, of course, being put in the deficit that he's at, it's going to take a little bit longer to get that first item. So a slow and steady early game, a bit of a trade of objectives as 2 grubs secured by AL on 1 dragon for T1. Flandre once again under a bit of pressure from Keria and Faker.
But as is Doran, 3 members of AL here on that bot side as T1 poking away at Flandre. You can see Doran could be the target of a dive here. Will they look for it? Tarzan for now, just farming up this jungle camp as Doran will be able to pick up most of this wave. Shanks and Kael trying to kind of butter him up, though. He's now down to half HP, and they definitely want to consider this angle. Oner, though, is going to be spotted. He's moving down, so it could be a risky dive.
Yeah, they've got plenty of vision here, so AL not going to overforce anything. Here comes the Rakan support teleport as well with Spellbook, just in case. And they're going to get their reset off once again. Both of these top lane carry champions in 1v2s for so long means low income for each of them.
And while people always talk about Lillia as this really fast farmer, I think people sometimes underestimate how quickly Maokai can farm. You know, the Maokai has actually stayed pretty much dead even alongside this. Tarzan has just been power farming, already has the injuries completed.
Yeah, AP Maokai cruising on through. And again, that ultimate is going to be such a critical part of how these team fights do go when we get the meetup. T1 going to have to problem solve, figure out what to do in that scenario.
It has been mostly Keria actually just laning with Faker here, making sure they can't look for any sort of hard engage. Faker with that range advantage, only way they can really do something about it is to hard engage on him. So it's been often Guma just kind of solo laning while Faker is here covered by Keria.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hope trying to scale up on the Senna, farm those souls, gain more range for yourself. And AL trying to buy that time.
26 stacks on the Senna so far. Static Shiv being completed will give Hope a little bit more wave clear. Of course, he is behind in farm, but he is ahead in gold. So AL not going to be too concerned about that. Flandre is within kill range for Doran.
Nice root does land there onto Guma. And Doran, as you say, has Flandre quite low, but is trading back well. Doran was trying to posture, see, is there an angle for a dive? Is there an angle to proc that demolish? Couldn't find the opportunity to go for either.
Faker with flawless farm right now. A player that whenever T1 is in these situations is the one that we often turn to.
Shanks looking aggressive, but Keria is here once again. Does land the knockup. Kael coming in. Faker looking. There's the Senna ultimate to cover.
That's a lot invested right before this dragon spawns. So couple of ultimates here, some decent value, although Faker now with no flash for that dragon fight might be a target.
Keep track of that as the TPs return. There's the rocket belt completed with the Trinity Force finished for Faker. A big spike for the man in the mid lane of T1.
We'll see, though, can they actually punish this missing flash? Kael caught out here in a lot of trouble, going to be charmed up, and he is incredibly low, has to flash out. In comes Tarzan with the Maokai ultimate. It does connect onto Keria. Kael trying to get back involved, as Shanks is looking for a fight onto Faker. He's in a 1v2, but he looks like he's winning it. Faker getting incredibly low, has no flash. The abscond connects with the abduct. Shanks getting 1, he's getting 2, he's in a 1v2, and he likes the way that looks. Oner now coming down, trying to knock down Shanks. as a response, but he's going to flash out to safety. Flandre is here. Guma flashes in, does get one. The public execution doesn't take him down, but Shanks still surviving. Flandre now looking for more here. Tarzan flashes in, roots him up. Flandre going to knock down Oner. It's Shanks coming up huge when it matters most.
Shanks on the big stage comes up massive for AL. They win the fight, they take the gold lead, and the objective will be theirs.
The level of confidence from Shanks in that situation to take the fight to Faker. I mean, oh,
Keria
gets the steal.
And he steals it with the spellbook. Won't have a way out, but he definitely had a way in. And he grabs the second dragon against the odds for T1.
You said it, Vedius, never count out T1. Keria gets back in. A very early spellbook enjoyer. Keria makes use of it.
I mean, it is a nice steal, but when we take stock of the game, the gold swing in AL's favor, the Maokai ultimate rooting up Keria, who starts off an engage onto Kael. He flashes away. Then you see the Rakan getting rooting up. Shanks goes for a 1v1 against Faker, steals away the Rakan ultimate, knocks them both up, well, charms them both, I should say, interrupting the knockup, and then Shanks sidestepping and then getting the lockdown onto Faker to secure the kill.
So clean, gets the kill and the flash there at the end too. Worked around the minions to make sure he could get the stun, flashing away, buying so much time. He got Guma's flash and ultimate out, and draws in the extra members of Team 1, making T1 commit so heavily to take him down.
He even gets Doran's flash at the very end there as well.
Something I wanted to track here. Both smite charges were used by Tarzan in that fight. I think T1 must have noticed that, and that's, I think, why Keria goes. He had no smite, because both of them were used. So if T1 noticed that in the midst of the fight, that is pretty incredible to be tracking the summoners that closely.
So, AL with a small gold lead for now. Faker still has the edge over Shanks. That Trinity Force still something to be reckoned with. AL, though, in a position to contest. Shanks in an awkward spot as he's separated from the rest of his team. Could create a flank, though.
Flandre has no TP, so if they overcommit here, Doran could TP in and try to stop them. They're going to go for it, though. Shanks is behind them, poking them down. Gumayusi will be caught by the Maokai ult. Oner grabs the Herald, but now they're going to look for Shanks. Shanks could be in some trouble. The Senna ult going to buy some time as Doran has arrived, has the counter-strike. He goes in, he pops the ulti. Tarzan in some trouble here, but Flandre's trying to close the gap. He's running through mid lane to get back to his team, and Hope is poking them down. T1 in some trouble now. They're going to have to run for it. The Swirl Seed slowing them. Guma incredibly low. Doran threatening. The ulti will have to be popped. Can they chase in? These T1 health bars are blinking, and Flandre wants to cut them short. Goes in, gets one. Hope chasing onto Faker, looks for the Q to try to get Guma, could not find it. It is the Herald for T1. It is 1 for 1, but it was so close to being much more.
My goodness, so close. AL a little slow on the engage, allowing for Oner to secure the Herald. And they do what I think they should do. Collapse on the flanking member. Shanks goes for a bit of an engage. He uses his E, he steps up too aggressively, and Keria is quick to punish him. Being isolated from the rest of his team, T1 think that they can get a little more.
Yeah, you see AL members moving in two different calls right there, because Tarzan was leaving the play, Shanks still going in, and the early teleport that came from Doran meant that he was completely sectioned off. So Shanks going down at the beginning, but they still got the chase down kill.
Flandre looking for the solo. Flandre has the shield, gets out to safety.
My goodness, the action is really kicking off here. They're trying to keep the Herald away. I don't think they're going to stop it. The tower secured for T1. And the goal difference remains close. This is what we like to see here in Game 4. T1 continue to fight back against the momentum AL built after Game 3.
Being in, they're actually looking here for Faker. Faker is pretty far back, but is now going to spot Shanks here, and they are collapsing in him. He's going to immediately have to flash out. There's the Abyssal Dive. Charm comes through there from Keria, trying to peel for Faker. Faker still has nothing to get away, and he's going to get gobbled up here by Kael and knocked down by Flandre, who goes on a rampage.
Beautiful from Kael. He lands the slow into the Abyssal Dive and serves up Faker on a silver platter.
But T1, they're not the type of team to slow down. While all that pressure was being put onto Faker, they were pressuring the bot side of the map. They secured their second tower of the game, they push in this bot wave, and now they have great position around the dragon, spawning in 48 seconds.
They also got the feats of strength here with their Herald play in mid lane, but Hope trying to get a tower back. Shanks took that top lane one. Oner looking, can't really find much of anything. The Dragon going to be spawning here in 30, and T1 will have their eyes on it. They are on their way to a potential early soul thanks to the steal from Keria, and would love to get that third Dragon.
Dragon could be huge for T1 to find their way back. Keria here, also very deep in enemy territory. There's not a lot of defensive vision for AL. They do have the one on the blue buff. But that's about it. So the approach to Dragon will be very dark for AL.
TP's committed. Shanks steals away Keria's ultimate. Probably one of the best options he has available. The backline access that he has. Oh, wow, he is testing Keria's mechanics, able to sidestep that one. The mid push will come through from T1. The bot push as well. T1 pushing on all sides, keeping the pressure up onto AL. Hope.
Faker Valks forward, does get a nice little bit of chunk there onto Hope. As Doran could be in some trouble, he is sectioned off. He maybe overstayed his welcome here, and he's gonna get charmed up and locked up. The Senna ult comes through, Doran flashing out to safety. They spent a lot, multiple ultimates used there. It was the stolen Rakan ulti, it was the Flandre ulti, it was the Senna ulti, and they didn't kill Doran, who has his TP.
Exactly, he can just recall and teleport back. He won't have a flash for the actual fight, but the battle over the brush to start it out. He's teleporting behind them.
He is teleporting very deep. Hope spots it. Will AL try to turn on him? Looks for the root, can't quite find it. Tarzan marking Doran right now as T1 now have the inside track towards the Dragon. Oner getting his movement speed stacks here off of the Raptors. He's gonna look, Keria's trying to go in. Shanks on the side in trouble. Doran has caught him out as Keria's in the midst of everyone. Keria trying to get back out to safety. Shanks still battling with Doran. They're both incredibly low. Flandre looking for an angle to go in. Guma pushing them back. AL are low, but everyone is alive. And it's Keria that's even lower. Doran trying to push through mid lane here. AL look like they concede defeat here. They're gonna back off and give the third Dragon. T1 again stands their ground.
AL didn't have the HP, they didn't have the resources, and they did not have position on the Dragon. T1 with excellent patience. Doran getting out of harm's way was crucial to the success of that play, and now T1 put themselves on soul point.
And when he got back, the pressure towards the mid lane side of the fight that he's putting out, even down 1,000 gold compared to Flandre, still having a lot of pressure. Faker, of course, on the Corki, though. The 2-item power spike is so big for this champion. Really making use of those rockets, really making use of that chunk damage to get T1 to soul point. They're building so much tension in this game, and Flandre is actually even starting up this Otacon here for AL.
Trying to clear out that ward, but doesn't quite finish it off. Shanks and Flandre hovering around the bot side of the map. My goodness, what a tense affair. AL now will need to win out the next Dragon fight to deny the soul from T1. T1, their resilience continuing to show through. And look at that, 2 items now finished for Gumayusi. You already mentioned the 2 items for Faker. T1, they don't have to force anything right now. They can slow the game down, work towards a few more components, and be ready for the soul fight that will be starting in 3.5 minutes.
And Hope is just about bang on the average here for the stacks. The average stacks at 20 for Senna at MSI has been 50.9. He's just ever so slightly behind that, of course, as we are almost at 22 minutes, but is going to be scaling well. Has decided to go for the early static shift. Sometimes people will go into a more aggressive build from here, but elected to go for the rapid fire for the poke.
And that's why it is pretty critical for T1 here to have all these dragons, so they can use this Dragon Soul as a point in the game to force AL, so that they cannot continue to stack and stack and stack for Hope forever. They've got so much damage on the side of T1, but they have to use it very wisely. They have to get, good sleep from Oner and Keria with a good charm engage.
You can see 2 items for both Faker and Guma. These AD carries scaling incredibly well. Faker had a very good start, got quite a bit up in gold, but Shanks has been battling back, finding kills in these fights, not to be outdone. Wants to try to close the series here. But T1 continually fighting for vision here, and Shanks gonna get aggressive. Can he find the abscond abduct? Just out of range is Faker, and Faker now trying to turn and fight back. Trading Corki rockets. Faker gets the best of him though, as Shanks is low on health and mana.
Spacing from Faker there was just perfect. Sidestepping all of the Sylas skills, dodging the rockets, and then throwing rockets back of his own. Forcing Shanks back. Will he have enough money for his upgrades? Have to imagine that he will. There is the Cosmic Drive now completed. Both mid laners at level 13. The Dragon only 2 minutes away. You can see how both teams have been working as quickly as they can to get as much gold as they can ahead of the upcoming fight.
And these fights are just going to be so much about the execution. There's really no true tank on either side. You know, the Jax, the Tahm Kench can be somewhat tanky. You know, just utilizing the counter-strike as Keria pops the Ghost, will be able to jump out to safety. Felt confident he would be able to get away there. Doran finally finishes off that tier 1 top, but they see him there, and AL have started up the Otacon. Will they stay on it, though, as T1 is around? Doran gonna base, look to buy, and then he does have his teleport if they feel he needs to join. Hope still on his way over here. Otacon down to about half HP. The TP gonna be spent as Doran is looking to join. He just bought his Seekers. That could be critical. Will he go in? Doesn't look for it just yet. It's getting lower and lower as Flandre is getting poked down by Faker on the side. Down to 3K. Doran going in the midst of everyone. He's on to Hope, and Hope could be in some trouble. They're going to grab it, and it's going to be Guma. Who else takes it? Flandre, Faker fighting on the side. Flandre winning out, but he's going to get knocked down by Faker, and T1 are pushing forward. That stasis from Doran was critical. Shanks gets knocked down by Doran as he comes out of the golden. Hope pushing them back, but T1 only lose Guma. They do get 2, and Guma claimed the Otacon.
T1 clutch it out. Look at how they force this. They lay down the feathers, and then Doran goes in for the flank. He teleports in, he sees the 3 members, so even as the Maokai ult goes through, Doran goes in. Guma focusing on the Otacon right there, along with Oner, and they burst it. Just 28 health left after the smite went through. Meanwhile, Faker had done so much work on Flandre on the side that then he was able to push off Flandre, get that kill on the side, and gain momentum for T1.
The fact that they were able to kill Guma was the biggest surprise to me, but Doran's flank, I think, was instrumental. A well-coordinated team fight from T1. Everyone seeming to know exactly what they needed to do. They secure the Otacon, and the Dragon will be spawning in a second.
And the fact that Doran killing that top lane tower gave him just enough gold to get the Seekers before that fight. Bases, TP's in, plays so aggressive knowing he has that in his back pocket. But his second item will be very delayed because he's between 2 items right now. So yes, that was strong for one fight, but Flandre on the other side is massively stronger right now when you look at the actual combat stats. The Broken Seekers is going to do nothing until he gets gold to upgrade that into Azonius.
Doran has been doing
this could
so
be Soul,
much.
Though. T1 going, Tarzan trying to get in, they're going to burst it down, they do claim it. T1 claim the soul, they're going to look for Faker though, the public execution back in onto him, but Keria is there to peel, they're turning on his Shanks, Shanks in trouble, going to get gobbled up by Kael, but it's Doran in the back line trying to take over, Oner going in, sleeps on everyone, and it is the eternal sleep for AL as Oner makes no mistake, the multi-man ulti was perfect.
A flawless team fight for T1 as they wipe AL off the map. The magic of T1 is not over just yet as they look to push us to Game 5.
T1 on the international stage here, synonymous with clutch.
T1 not to be outdone. They find their window. They take their moment. They're knocking on the Nexus, and you know what's coming. What else could it be in a battle between Titans like this? It's going to 5.
I gotta say, Doran did so much work with such low resources this game.
Oh yeah.
In a game where the 2 top laners had to 2v1 for so long, starved out of so much gold, he made critical plays near the end game team fights, escaping first on the bottom side, the 3-person attempt at his life before that dragon fight, coming in with the flank on the Otacon. I mean, value there.
This series couldn't have gone any other way. We're being pushed to Game 5, LPL versus the LCK.
This series is delivering. Desk, who do you think takes it in Game 5?
Well, we're not